There have been rumblings recently that COVID might be making a comeback. Papers talk of an August surge, 2 new variants and a Barbenheimer spike, and mask mandates have been brought back by some schools and businesses in the States. In this video, a group of pro-lockdown protesters attack a man who doesn't want to wear a mask, although meeting in a big group to demand that you're not allowed to meet in a big group doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then again, neither did lockdown.
President Biden tested negative last night for COVID-19 and tested negative again today. He's not experiencing any symptoms. As far as the steps he is taking, since the president was with the First Lady yesterday, he will be masking while indoors and around people in alignment with CDC guidance. And as has been the practice in the past, the president will remove his mask when sufficiently distanced from others indoors and while outside as well.
So is COVID coming back? Do we all need to hide in our houses and pretend to bake bread again? Well, I'm not going to panic just yet. I think some people are just nostalgic for lockdown. For scientists, politicians and judgmental lefties, the pandemic was a glorious time. Of course, scientists miss the pandemic. Lockdown turned scientists from nerds to rock stars. They suddenly got money and fame. Desperate politicians thrust handfuls of cash into their hands. Professor Neil Ferguson, the scientist who sees a pandemic every time a duck sneezes, was in the news almost every day, terrifying the nation into submission with his broken computer model. It's amazing that anyone was still alive to catch COVID after Neil's predicted 150,000 deaths from foot and mouth or 150,000 deaths from bird flu. Neil Ferguson predicted about 7 out of the last 1 pandemics. And you could tell he didn't believe his own scaremongering because he didn't follow his own advice. Neil Ferguson broke his own lockdown rules to have an affair with Antonia Stats. Of course, a scientist is going to have an affair with somebody called Stats. If Neil Ferguson really believed that COVID was as dangerous as he said it was, would he have done that? It was like an AIDS scientist going to a sauna with Freddie Mercury. And politicians loved lockdown. Lockdown was like steroids for politicians. They got to increase power, pass new laws, print money, and then grift that money to their mates through lucrative contracts for PPE. Remember how it looked like we were going to have a Swedish-style light lockdown? Then politicians suddenly realised how much money they could make through dodgy COVID contracts. You could literally see the libertarian instincts leave their body like ghosts and dollar signs pop up in their eyes. Baroness Michelle Mone lobbied hard for government contracts to be awarded to PPE MedPro. At the time, everyone thought, oh, what a nice altruistic woman working hard to help a company get government contracts for no reason. Then, to everyone's surprise, it turned out that her family trust had received £29 million from PPE MedPro, and she was forced to stand down from the House of Lords. The National Crime Agency is investigating, and the government is suing PPE MedPro for £122 million. They say that the PPE supplied wasn't up to scratch. That's a stink so big it gets through any mask. But Michelle Mone wasn't the only one. MP Owen Patterson had to resign after lobbying on behalf of COVID firm Randox, which was paying him £8,000 a month while making millions from the taxpayer. Matt Hancock even had a contract awarded to his former pub landlord. £250 million went to Ayanda Capital, an investment company domiciled in Mauritius, owned by mates of the government that had never made PPE before. And it won't make PPE again. The 50 million masks it provided to the NHS were rejected for having the wrong straps. Although the fiasco didn't leave Ayanda Capital strapped for cash, their profits surged 2,600%, although some of that will have to be put in briefcases and handed to politicians. And politicians got to pass laws. It didn't matter if the laws were nonsense, politicians just love passing laws. Picnics were made illegal because coronavirus can be transmitted via double dipping in hummus. The police in Hove, an English seaside town, stopped a woman who was breastfeeding because according to them it constituted a picnic. I'm not joking, a picnic! Unless her breast milk was being expressed in the form of marinated mozzarella balls and Prosecco, that is not a picnic. And politicians also got to give us really condescending advice and treat us like children. Wash your hands. I was already washing my hands, I'm not French. Although, I'm not taking hygiene advice from a government that teaches school kids about the wonders of felching. If the school curriculum is telling people to lick each other's bumholes, but I've got to wash my own hands after going anywhere near my own bumhole, that just doesn't add up. Government lockdown advice also told people to reduce COVID transmissibility by having sex through a glory hole. It's taken all the fun out of it when the government tells us to do it, and we all have to picture Matt Hancock's face on the other side. And a lot of left-wing people want lockdown back. They loved lockdown. They got to sit in their bum watching Tiger King and eating takeaway instead of going to work, and they still got 70% of their salary. And they got to wear masks to hide their bad skin and lack of chin. And as the mask became a signifier for people following the rules like a good lefty, wokeists got to indulge in their favourite pastime, judging people and aggressively berating anyone who didn't wear a mask or get vaccinated. And I've got to admit, I didn't get vaccinated. I was going to, but I just felt that the government was trying to make me take the vaccine like Bill Cosby trying to make a young actress drink her gin and tonic. If it's so great, why are you being so pushy? Just let me make my own mind up. Also, as they started offering people better and better bribes to get vaccinated, I was holding out for a jet ski. And weirdly, lockdown turned lefties into hardcore UKIPers, demanding the complete closure of borders. Why did they demand an end to all immigration because of a highly survivable virus that was already in the country, but they don't want any restrictions on illegal immigration now? Doesn't make sense. So is lockdown coming back? Listen, if you want to stay home, wear a mask, descend into poverty, avoid all human contact, avoid crowds, avoid laughter, avoid fun, avoid comedy, avoid all of the things that make us human, fine, you do it. I won't stop you. But this time, leave me out of it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and click the little bell button so you actually get notified like a proper subscription. And please share this video with a lefty mate who still has a mask on in their profile picture. And consider becoming a patron to help support me making these videos like it's still lockdown. For like £3 a month, you can get patron-only content and help me buy stuff. Anyway, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye-bye.